Let's get to the Russia of it all, right? Again, part of that big press conference was, look, we've got a meeting coming up a little bit later, and I love that, and he's sort of mocked for this at times, but it's like, look, I'll know within 2 minutes whether something's going to happen or nothing's going to happen, and that's because he's been in a room where he's negotiated something his entire life. And I also love that he's open to say, look, I'll tell you exactly what happened. It's not going to be like one of these sort of Reagan summits of the 80s where the cameras are so far away and 2 days later somebody will through a back channel tell you. Like if he could, he'd live stream the chat.
Yes, he totally would. And they were like, well, how will you know? Because it's what I do. It's what I do. I negotiate. I'm a deal maker, which is true. And I do think the one thing we have going for us, and, you know, because there's not an American who would not like to see this Ukraine war end. The one thing we would like to see happen is some sort of a resolution, you know, an actual resolution. And I think Trump understands that when he goes in there, he's going to hear either a difference in the messaging and the tone from Putin versus what he's been hearing, or he's not. And that would happen off the top. And Trump doesn't have a lot of time on his hands for the normal diplomatic glad handing and banal talk that might precede actual, you know, comments. Trump's going to get right down to business. I guarantee you. Make a couple of nice comments about Putin and Russia or something, you know, Putin's suit. It could be anything, but I'm sure he'll compliment him in some way. And then he'll listen to see whether Putin sounds different than he's been sounding. And Trump finally has gotten to the point where he realizes Putin's been blowing smoke. And Trump, the last thing he wants is to be made a fool of. So I think he really will be listening in a sharper way this time for, is there a difference in tone, in messaging that I can trust? And then the odds are Trump will come out of it feeling like he's gotten something and trying to tell all of us we've gotten something. But if Putin makes the mistake of really giving him nothing and trying to play hardball, I have no doubt Trump will come out and tell us that. And he'll be angry and he'll be pushing the secondary sanctions on India and possibly others who he wants to penalize for even doing business with Russia if this thing goes on.
Well, as we saw, of course, in the famous Zelensky thing, right, where he was able to have the big blow up in the Oval Office, but then they slowly but surely were starting to chat again. So again, he's not going to sit there and just let Putin do nothing for half an hour. If it's dead in 5 minutes, he walks out and says, meh. Like, that's the thing. In any negotiation, and I've got to say, I'm terrible at this, right? I'm terrible when it's you're talking to the people here or buying a car or anything like that, right? Which is, I don't have the balls to walk away. Like, one of my dearest friends loves, well, you could have sold it today, but sorry, that's it. I'm out of here. Bye. Like, that's I'm like, oh, well, he might have a commission and he's got a family, so I'll pay overs. So he's willing to walk out. And that's, again, when you're willing to walk away, you end up with a much more powerful hand.
It's the only way you win. When I was in law school, we took the class, negotiations, which is an important class for young lawyers. And the number one rule of so-called winning in a negotiation is you must be willing to walk away. So like half the exercise when you go into a negotiation, whether it's financial or job related or a title that you want, what have you, is you have to get yourself to a place where you really are willing to walk. You have to get there. And because if you're not, it shows. So Trump, he's always willing to walk. And honestly, on Ukraine, I get that it is potentially our problem too. Like, we don't want Putin running around the world taking over countries. But at its core, it is much more Ukraine's problem than it is our problem. And it's much more Europe's problem than it is our problem. So Trump does sort of have the ability to be like, I'm really kind of losing my patience for this, which is exactly what Putin would love. But him to say, like, I'm done negotiating with you. You don't seem like a good faith actor. So I'm going to do these secondary sanctions and try to increase the pain on you. They're really going to hurt you. They're not going to hurt me. But if they work or they don't work, I don't care. So it's like the only one who has skin in this game is you, Mr. Putin. I think Trump's kind of getting there. And I think he genuinely is done with both of these characters.
Yeah. And speaking of negotiations, what do you reckon the negotiation balance or imbalance was between Harry and Megyn and Netflix? Because they have redone a deal, but it's a really piss-weak version of the first deal. They don't get the automatic money and then you have to make something. You basically have to make something and then they'll decide whether they're going to show it or not to get the money. How do you reckon that negotiation went?
Well, to me, it sounds like Netflix wanted to cancel and someone representing Meghan and Harry begged them to at least say that it's a first look. Like, you're not cut off, you're not canceled. They don't think you're losers, which we all do, but they don't think that. They think you're winners. They're such winners that they want to first look at any projects you're going to unleash down the line, because they might want to buy it. But really, it's just a save face mechanism, because Netflix has these two under contract. If it wanted to renew some exclusive deal with them, it would have. It has more money than God. It's not hurting for cash. It could easily renew a deal with these two. And so I think the first look thing saves face for them. It's probably negotiated by Ari Emanuel, who has many other deals with them. So it's very easy for him to leverage and say, hey, give us this, so that they save face and it doesn't hurt you at all. What do you lose by, getting a first look? And also it hedges Netflix bets, just in case when the king, God forbid, dies, they want to tell all their disgusting stories about him, which is right on brand for them, right? If they do have something more they want to say about the actual interesting people, the royal family, that would sell. It's always sold before for them. The one thing they did for Netflix that worked was that special on Megxit and her leaving the royal family, and all the tea they spilled on the royal family with her mocking the queen with her deep bow or curtsy, what have you. So I think Netflix is smart to say, hey, if you want to do that again, makes you look terrible, but it pads our bottom line. So sure, we'd be interested in that. But your stupid attempt to be Martha Stewart, your documentary on polo, as you want us to believe you've become a man of the people from your Montecito mansion, you want to do a documentary on polo, which about 2 people in the world can relate to? Yeah, no, not interested.
I'm with you completely. Well, as always, we get the first, second, and forever look at your good self. We get to see that, of course, each and every day with the Megyn Kelly Show, which is on Sirius XM. Find on YouTube podcast. It is kicking ass as always, and she gives us too much of her time each and every week, and we're very thankful for it. Thank you, Megyn.
Love doing it. See you next week, Paul.